Hi, everybody. I'm Pasha Marlowe, and this is the Let Pleasure Be the Measure podcast. I always say I'm excited. I feel like it's redundant. I'm excited to bring you today's guest. I'm like sick of saying that. Like today, I'm just lit up, thrilled. I'm like giddy. I'm giddy because I'm not only talking to my friend Sarah Zimmerman, but I'm talking to somebody who I've been like following and adoring and idolizing. And you're like an influencer in my head.
Please don't say that.
In my head, and my heart, like you're just full of spunk and fire and purpose. And I just admire you. I'm so glad you're here, Sarah Zimmerman.
Thank you. I'm very glad to be here. And I feel the same about you. I'm watching with the same admiration from across the country and through the screen.
Thank you. Thank you. We have never met in person, although I hope to. Sarah lives out in California and I'm in Maine, so that's going to take some work. But I met Sarah a long walk. I would like to take a long walk by myself right now, though. Maybe I should do that.
Just start this way and I'll pick you up somewhere along the way. We'll figure it out. We'll meet in the middle. Except the middle's kind of terrible.
I was going to say, I don't know if I want to meet in the middle. Yes. We're going to talk about the messy middle in a minute. I met Sarah, as thousands of you listening have as well, through the Untamed Facebook group, which you facilitate. What's the word? You lead it, you facilitate it, you created it. Like what?
I moderate it. That's what we call it. It's the Glennon Doyle. She wrote a book last March and I started a small Facebook group and now there's like 5,300 people from all over the world. And myself and 11, I think, other moderators help to just keep things friendly and moving forward. And,
it is definitely a friendly, fascinating group and, goes beyond the talking about Untamed. I just find it to be an empowering place. I feel like it's the place, if there's something that I want to celebrate or process, I go there. And I don't always post myself, but somebody's always posting something that resonates with me whenever I check in. So I think it's a brilliant space you created. I'm sure you weren't expecting 5,300.
No, but I'm with you. I love going there and feeling like there's somebody's been through this or understands it or can at least like offer me some support or just scream with me, swear with me, laugh with me. There's just a lot of camaraderie and it's pretty cool. I'm so grateful to be part of it.
Yeah, it's a great sense of belonging and a safe space, which I don't feel enough, especially through social media. So Good work, woman.
Thanks.
Sarah's also a freelance writer and a blogger and an author. You're working on a novel. Do you want to tell us about it?
It's trying to kill me and I'm very mad at it right now. I've been knee deep in like editing typos, and based on what Grammarly, which is the software program that helps you clean up your language, what it tells me is English cannot possibly be my first and only language. It has to be like 5th or 6th down the list because this is just abhorrent. And it's just mad at me about the funniest stuff. And so I'm trying really hard. I've got it now. So I'm reading it now in that kind of level of detail after I've rewritten it a few times, for theme and character development and plot, and make sure things make sense and are like funny and solid and intentional and everything. And now I'm looking at it and I'm like, I've had like 12 people read this book and I didn't spell magnet right one time. And it's just like all of them. I probably have 10,000 unnecessary commas. Yes. And someone had to suffer through that,
It's such an arduous process that is in the end the later steps I feel like not so pleasurable, but it's so much fun. It'll be there soon. You'll have it in your hands. It'll be tangible. And do you think you're the person? For me, it was like literally as soon as my book was done, I felt the strange urge, like after you deliver a baby, like it wasn't so bad. Like I literally felt the urge to do it again, like the very next week. Do you feel that in your bones that you're going to just want to create another?
So this is fiction and I have other fictional ideas, coming through my head. So this is like fiction based on real life, either mine or other people that I've talked to. It's about kind of a marriage on the rocks and a woman trying to figure out her identity and, if she can still be herself with all the responsibilities of life at 40 and that kind of thing. So it's very real, but also fiction. So yes, I've started kind of developing already what I want to write about next, but it's such a pain in the ass. I don't know that it will ever be worth it. But I might do it anyway. And in theory, maybe the next one won't be as hard because I sort of have a clue what I'm doing this time.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean,
does the blogging fuel you enough, like getting your thoughts on paper somehow?
Yeah, that helps a lot because the book is it can feel like this enormous undertaking to do anything with that. So if I just want to kind of spit something out that doesn't have to be continuous. Yeah, but continuous? Continuity can, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to fit into the 78,000 word tome. Yes. I can just blog it off to the side, and that's nice to just have that release,
And because you've been working on your novel so long and you've changed so much and you've gone through so many transitions, like, do you ever get bored of your character or feel like you need to add to your story? Like,
it's gone through some major changes as I have. Yes.
Because you're describing. Like, I'm like, right. Oh, she wrote a book about me, a woman in marriage and feeling like lost in her identity. Like, does everybody, I'm sure most women can relate to what you're writing about, but do you feel like almost every conversation you have with women is this messy middle kind of feeling stuck, not a sense
I hear that a lot. That a lot. Yeah. Like, I'm a service animal. I'm a machine for the people that I live with or work with, and nobody really sees me or knows me, and I feel just kind of lost and alone. And is this as good as it gets? Is this all I deserve? Is it selfish to consider wanting something else? I mean, these are frequent thoughts yes. that I've shared and that have been shared with me and are making it into the book.
Yeah And I feel like in the process of wanting more, that I've outgrown so many people in my life. So relationships are harder the more I claim my own power and identity and desires. Is that part of the theme that you notice as well, that women are kind of outgrowing their relationships, or they're not necessarily only their marriages, but just relationships on the whole, friendships, family?
And I think also as we learn more about the systems that we are born into and are just something that we've been swimming in, and we kind of back up to more of like an objective distance view of that, we see what we've just been enduring and what we don't have to, and that it doesn't have to be this way. And so if our partners and our peers and our friends and stuff are also making those same revelations and wanting to make change, it can thrive, right? You grow together, you learn together. But if someone is still stuck in the muck and someone is way up here in the tree looking down at the muck, that doesn't work at all, especially when the muck dweller is trying to pull the tree person back down. Like, that's just
yeah tree dwellers always trying to pull the person out of the muck. Yeah, that's a battle. That's my life. How did you know that?
Because again, like, as much as we think we're special swans, we actually are very much all dealing with the same stuff, and so these are themes that I just keep having the same,
So are you the tree dweller in your family, or the one stuck in the muck?
So it all varies, right? Like, day to day and topic to topic, like, you'll talk about one kind of again, like, system that you were born into that you have all this enlightenment about, and then you'll look at another one and you're clueless muck dweller. So it just depends. We thankfully, so I am married fairly contentedly to a man at this point, and he's a blazing feminist, right, who is identifying the patriarchy often before I am in situations, and fighting hard to figure out the male ego and the toxicness that can be there. It doesn't have to be. I mean, so that's worked. As I've grown, so has he.
Yeah, that's refreshing to hear too. Yeah.
Well, it's the only thing. I mean, like, I don't think I could have stayed if you weren't doing the work as well.
Yeah, I think this is a common battle. I hear this from my clients that and I'll just say that I'm hearing mostly from my female clients, they're reading and they're podcasting and they're doing therapy and they're gathering and circling up with women to talk. And then they come home and they feel like they have to not just armor up, but actually shrink to fit into the container of their marriage. And then there's that sense of like, where's this going once the kids are grown, and there's this perception of like, as soon as I graduate, you have all this, new space and opportunity. But what I'm starting to realize that like, even when my youngest goes off to college, that doesn't actually automatically mean that I'm going to feel really expansive and free or content. That there's this still, I feel like, a restlessness that will come over me if my partner doesn't also have activism in his plan, doesn't also have learning and unlearning in his plan. And so I kind of shove it down his throat and like hope it sticks, which isn't the best, but I feel like that's a common story of like women saying, hey, I read this book Untamed, you should read it so you know why I'm so angry all the time, right? And sometimes I'm so glad that you have the type of marriage where he will read it, and it sounds like it like absorbs too.
It works, yeah.
Upon it.
And it hasn't always been this way. And there were some awful conversations that we had along the way getting there, and he's done it too. He's evolved in ways that I haven't, and I had to catch up. I mean, it's kind of gone both directions at different times, reading the same books is a big one. I mean, I think that like, I mean, there's a reason. So that's something though, like there's a reason that close friends often join in a book club, because books are so powerful and they can change you and move you. So you get together and you talk about the ways that you're changed and moved. Men have never done book clubs, right? Like, and they often aren't, and so they're not. It's not just the self-help books, but just kind of fiction, like anything in general. It's just not something that is encouraged, right? So that's been like a big boon for us is, we've been reading some of the same books and then we talk about them. And he's actually started a guys book club, because he wants like, and they make eye contact. It's not like they're sitting next to each other at a sports ball game and then maybe accidentally have some sort of conversation. The purpose of these gatherings is conversation, to share ideas about what they read. And it's kind of revolutionary. Like all of them universally are like, oh, I've never done this before,
Yes.
Whereas most women I know have been in numerous book clubs,
And is he still working with the book Fed Up, or is it beyond, or is he working beyond that?
They started with that and then they keep doing new ones. Lately they've been like,
Cool.
Summertime, so they'll do like a podcast they'll all listen to and then chat about that or whatever.
That's awesome. So it's in person even?
No.
It's virtual.
No, it's, yeah.
Okay. That's fantastic.
Now part of that is that like we just moved across the country from everyone we know, right? So it's convenient that we can meet this way,
Yes. And it's fantastic that you live in California where it's progressive, and I'm sure you just happen to bump into a lot of people who also share your views and desire to change.
We
right?
haven't met a ton of people yet, but I get the impression that once we get to know people, we'll find some like-minded folks.
Yeah, definitely. I feel now it's probably maybe passive aggressive and manipulative what I do, but today I sent John, my husband, to a gender identity workshop. Like he had no idea what he was walking in on. I was just like, you should take this workshop. And then he's in a space where he's like, all right, well, that Brene Brown podcast you sent me was pretty interesting, so I'll just assume this workshop would be interesting. So luckily he's somebody who will also go. But yeah, I have this real desire to have conversations about the things I care about in my own home. And if I can't in my home, then I have to leave my home, which of course is not a form of connection within my marriage. And then I think it becomes a vicious cycle where like then I just want to spend more time with my friends and and then I want to try to connect with my partner. So yeah, I think it's a tricky dynamic.
It's a challenge. And again, so it's what I'm realizing with all these countless conversations is that it's such a pattern that it has to be, again, the system that we all were trained within, right? Like they're not unique in being and never, like, self-awareness is not being a goal or even something that they know should be a goal, like that's it's common to to have to confront things within yourself and to have to learn and change, and like I don't know if that is anything that a male ego is encouraged to do. Does that make
Mhm.
sense? Like
Yeah,
because it's vulnerable and it's weakness potentially, and it's things you don't know, and that's scary as hell, you know. So
it
I think
is.
that's
It
a
is.
challenge.
The organization that he went to was an organization called Today. The workshop was Boys to Men, who I've been talking with a lot and working with because I'm fascinated with raising a boy today. You're raising a boy as well, right?
I have a son and a daughter.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's a I have a son who's 25, but I feel like that was a lifetime ago and I made all the mistakes. His shampoo looked different than my daughter's shampoo, bringing it back to Untamed. And I wasn't aware and witnessing all of the patriarchy as I am now. But nonetheless, right now I'm raising now a 13-year-old boy who's incredibly emotionally intelligent, sensitive, compassionate, empathetic, all the things. And I honestly do worry, like how he will navigate the world as a boy and man later, and just everything from like I think he's inherently lazy and he really doesn't have like the ability to make it through the day without kind of falling apart, which I could totally relate to. So I created work where I could talk to people about falling apart. So I'm like, other than that path, it's just hard to imagine. And I get myself caught up in the misperceptions and my own perceptions of
Mhm.
what I think is a successful,
Mhm.
career. How's he gonna support a family? Like talking.
So I think we should be encouraged that like, so if you're seeing that in him, first
Yes.
of all, as much as we'd love to give ourselves full credit, and also as we blame ourselves for anything that they do,
Oh,
there's more influences in his life than you, right? So he's seeing this elsewhere. He's got peers, probably, you know, he's seen this on TV shows, he's seeing this. So I think there is a movement where boys are more able to address, you know, and all the parts of themselves, you know, all the emotional,
mhm.
and I think there's more emotional intelligence happening and more willingness, permission to just say, no, I've had enough. I can't do this anymore today. I need to sit, I need to rest, I need to, you know,
Mhm.
not be in charge or not know what I'm talking about for a second. I just need to bow out. Like I think we're getting there, you know, where like all of
Mhm.
that is a little bit more okay.
Yes.
And that they can lead us there. I mean, I think actually I keep finding like I think we're behind. I think that like even corporate cultures and stuff that we think of this as like impenetrable fortress, I think that's starting to shift. You know, I mean, Brene Brown is in all these corporations teaching about vulnerability and shame and everything. And I think it's starting to, we're seeing a cultural, you know,
Mhm.
shift.
Mhm. Yes, yes. I do hope you're right. I suppose we're stuck in
I hope so too.
well, I think I hear, and of course we're not seeing a lot of people in person. So he's in middle school and I'm hearing the one-sided conversations, he's having
Right.
with his friends, and I see him struggle socially.
Oh, in middle school is, I mean, I gotta believe that's still like the most horrible couple years of your life. I don't think we've gotten evolved that far yet.
We haven't evolved that much.
Oh my God. There's just so many dramatic changes, shifts happening within each person and each, you know,
Yes.
peer group. And I mean, it's brutal.
Yeah, yeah, right. Under the best of circumstances, even if Brene Brown was his teacher, he'd still be struggling.
Right. No, I think it's just terrifying. I think we're so afraid to be, uh, you know, to not fit in, to not be normal, and we're trying to identify what that even means. And I just think that all of it kind of comes to head. Then there's not, you know, they have the like ability now to assess in a different way than they did before, and they're trying to see where they stack. You know,
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
scary.
And that whole idea of the fitting in versus belonging. Like I know what I need to do to fit in right now, socially and in the world, but it doesn't feel good anymore and it doesn't feel authentic and I don't feel seen and known. So then I don't feel a sense of belonging. There's that
Right.
loneliness in it, in that attempt to fit in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and within the marriage too, right? Like if you
Mhm.
know, if you had certain kind of, again, cultural expectations as a couple, as a family, and then you're identifying them as harmful to you, or you're just not interested in them anymore, they don't serve you, but nothing's been addressed as like a unit, then yeah, you feel like you're kind of, this false you is coming back to follow these rules that you don't buy anymore, you know?
Yeah, yeah. There's a sense of like playing the game, but also trying
Right.
to fight the systems that create the game in the first place. I'm like,
Yeah. Well, so before we came on air, we were talking about how we like look at our necks when we're doing Zoom videos, and then we're like mad at ourselves for looking at our necks, right? Like I'm like, oh God, look at that, armpit pudge. Like who cares about armpit pudge? And if you care about armpit pudge, I am not interested. Like that is not something that is interesting or essential, or like, come on. But we're so trained to, and we fall
yeah.
right back into those roles because it's just, it's everywhere. It's so hard not to.
It is so hard not to. But I hear what you're saying. And I think I said I have shame about the shame. Like I have shame for noticing, I have shame for worrying about it. And then I get myself wrapped up in like, why am I so, if I'm so evolved and I'm, such a feminist, then why am I still thinking about whatever neck,
Yeah.
armpit role? But yeah, you and I talk a lot about that body image, and you had, I feel like, it seemed radical, fun, and liberating. Is it called a boudoir session? What is that called?
You have to say it like just like you just said it there, with your eyebrows all raised, and like, yeah, that's the only way. Yeah, so I saw this ad. I turned 40 last year. I saw this ad that said, it's for 40 over 40 there. She was doing like the special deal for women to empower us and stuff, like, older women over 40, and their boudoir pictures. And so all the pictures were of like fancy, negligee and like cool shadows and dramatic this and that. And I was like, well, that sounds amazing. And I've gone through so many crazy changes in life and stuff in the last couple of years. And, again, identity stuff, like this would be really neat to do. And then I'm such a practical asshole that I made it basically into like a, like promotional pictures for my websites and stuff. Like I can't just let a thing be a thing. I had it. So now I've got all these like headshots and stuff with one picture of me in a bra. And here's the story about the bra picture. Is like, I have a very hate relationship with my boobs now. I love them in that they haven't killed me yet or anything. They're healthy. It's healthy tissue, right? I've had a mammogram this year. I know it's healthy tissue.
Woo!
But they're enormous and obnoxious, and I'm so over them. And so I'm actually working on getting the breast reduction soon, in a few weeks.
Oh,
soon. Yeah. So I did this boudoir picture that was like the one where she's over me and I'm on the bed and I'm all sprawled out and I'm in a bra and I'm all like, like make sure this tattoo shows, but cover up, cover that up, like I'm like that, all contorted and stuff. She's like, you have to squish them in. They're falling into your armpits like runny eggs. And I was like, I can't, okay, but then it's gonna be even more contorted. Like, is this hot?
Is this hot?
Is this cute? How's it look? And it was like by far my oomphiest bra. It was as good as it was going to get in a lying down position. Yeah. And she's this little tiny petite thing, but she's like, you've got to make them more perky. I'm like, look, baby, I'm going to go have surgery for that. But until then, this is as good as it gets. So it's a very, it doesn't look, I don't look comfortable in the picture because I was not comfortable in the picture at all. So if that whole thing is what you're into, it's a sexy boudoir picture.
Yes. But are you happy with any of the photographs?
Oh yeah. I mean, they turned out beautiful. The one fully clothed, like, again, they're spectacular. And she's a portraitist, and she's like internationally known for it. So I mean, they're amazing. I'm very happy with it. But
oh, good. Now, are you going to do Are you going to do after breast reduction surgery another one? You think like not just like a before and after, but like, are you interested in doing it again?
I don't know. We'll see how. I mean, it's expensive, and it was definitely like a total splurge for me. It was like a big gift to myself. So maybe in a few years or something, we'll see. But yeah, it was a good experience. I mean, it was fun. I felt like a model. She was really sweet, and I got my makeup and my hair and my fake eyelashes. Like I felt like the drag version of Sarah, which is.
I went into a store yesterday. I do not have any pretty or sexy pajamas or lingerie. And I sleep by myself. So I think it doesn't matter. But I went into a lingerie store yesterday thinking maybe it does matter. Maybe for myself, I want to wear something pretty and whatever. And then of course it's all, I think, lacy, scratchy up here, and then like silk. And I'm like lactating and sweating, thinking about like these liquids that are going to come out.
Don't you think that they're not meant to be slept in, but they're meant to be like dropped on the floor?
Exactly. Because I'm thinking like, okay, if I still menstruated, I'd be thinking about like, I'm going to bleed all over that. And then I think I'm going to pee all over that. And then I think I was sweat. Like it was just ugly. And then I was thinking, why would anybody wear these to bed? But then I was feeling shame for not feeling in pleasure enough and, embracing my, desire to wear something pretty enough. And I was like, I'm not going to spend $100 on something I'm just going to stain tonight, like in the first hour. So yeah, it was it's kind of a mind fuck. When I go to get the other day I went to try to just, and this wasn't even like lingerie, it was like a comfortable, what do you call those? I guess cami, like it's not a bra, but it's not a tank top, but it's got a little sport. Is that a cami?
Well, built in something. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Once again, I'm like a quadruple G or something. So this little cami cuteness that you're describing, I don't understand, but go on. I'll imagine. Go ahead.
You might relate to it, because I went in and I said I want like a cami layery thing because I get hot flashes and I don't want to be in a restaurant and just go down to my bra. I want to be in a wherever and release into something decent. That's And so she like looks at me and she's like, well, maybe like I don't know, like medium to large. I don't know. We'll try it. And then when she went, and then like I went through the medium, I went through large, I'm like, it's not working. She's like, let me see if we have an extra large. And then she's like, that's still not covering. Okay, well, maybe in the back room. Like, have you had this experience where like maybe in the shelves under the boxes in the back room in the alley?
Which I mean, it's such bullshit, because you're on the small side of an average woman, right? Like, is that a fair assessment?
I don't know. It turns out they're like too big for pretty things, and too small for porn. I don't know. It's like CD.
It is amazing what is not available, considering what the average, and this is not true. This is true beyond just negligee and stuff and bras and everything, but like shirts. most clothes only go up to like a 14 or 16, but the average person wears a 16 plus, or something like that. So it's absurd that you have to go back to the back alley to find it. That's just a shameful experience.
I agree. I actually contacted, because I'm a bitch this way, I contacted the person who designed the lingerie line.
Wow. And are they gonna be on your show next week, or?
I know her, but I contacted her and I was like, I had this experience. It was really it perpetuated or validated my shame about it. And I said, like, why doesn't an extra large fit? And like, what size would I get? And unfortunately in this style, there was just not the size available. And they're very body positive accepting company. So I was like, oh, that doesn't fit. So it was frustrating, but it was nice to have a conversation with her, and she said it helped shift things in the company. We'll see. But yeah, I find it to be really annoying that it's still so hard. And will it always be hard to go shopping, like you said, not just bras, not just bathing suits, not just jeans, but like everything? Is it always like going to be a struggle? No matter,
well, do you have to like, can you only wear the like frumpy? I mean, so I'm to a point where I like comfort, but I want it to be like sexy, cute comfort. And I think you can have that. It's just hard to find, but yeah, because I don't want to look like an enormous grandmother yet. I'm not there quite yet.
No moo-moos yet, right? Is that what's called moo-moo? Yeah. Yeah. It's my mom makes it's not sexy, but it's like for curvy women. I don't remember what she calls it, but it's like patchworky and it's a little bit of like a fairy, I don't know, whimsical, which I like, but I don't feel sexy in it. So I don't love it for me, but I'm glad that she's meeting those needs for people. But I want it to be comfortable and sexy and fit and breathable and cooling and non-staining. And
all the things. Why can't it just be magic clothes? I don't know what the problem is here. Yeah.
What
I
is the
don't know.
problem?
I also think like you might be more stylish and trendy and keep up with things. I'm still wearing exactly the same clothes, larger sizes, not the exact same clothes. Those are like museum pieces now, but that I've been wearing since high school. Like I watched Helen Hunt in Twister in like 1995 or whatever, and I was like, that's it. That's the one. It's just a tank top and jeans. That's what I'm going to wear as my uniform for the rest of my life.
That's my uniform.
Pretty much that's it.
Or as Glenn says,
then
that's my costume. Your costume.
Yeah, my Sarah costume. When I get dressed like a Sarah in the morning, that's what I put on. And then Gemma, the mom from Sons of Anarchy, wore basically the same kind of thing. And I was like, confirmed, coolest characters ever. They wear the Sarah costume, so it's happening.
Tank top and jeans. Very good. Well, are you wearing a Wonder Woman shirt? Like I'm sensing a Wonder Woman emblem. Yes.
See these boobs?
That's also the.
It's stretched. It used to be an emblem, and now it's like a whole damn paragraph. I mean, yes.
WW. Oh my goodness gracious.
She's like, this is like the Wonder Bread woman. Yeah. But yeah, so because that's like my uniform, I'm very excited to get reasonable sized tats, and some of my like.
How do you make that decision? Like, how do you make the decision of what size to go to?
Oh, well, the decision to do it at all was based on back pain and stuff. Like I've been miserable and I've gone through so much expensive therapy and stuff. So that's why I'm making it worth it. And by the way, I don't know yet if my insurance is going to cover me or if I'm going to be sobbing the whole time because of the cost of it. I'm not sure.
If it's related to pain, don't you think? Like it's your back pain. My gosh.
I think because it's done by a plastic surgeon, the suspicion is that you're trying to get them to cover it for aesthetics. And so it takes a lot of evidence for them to believe you that it's a medical thing. If it was done by a general surgeon, because you're taking this massive weight off of your spine, they might be more inclined. But because it's plastics, they're going to make it look pretty, and a lot of people get liposuction of their armpits, people like me, then I think they just kind of think it's like a free.
So if they were 2 tumors, you would get like coverage, right? Yeah.
Thank God they're not, but yeah.
Yeah.
So as far as what size to go, it's been a bizarre experience shopping for boobs. My husband and I just like scroll. I'm like, did you know, honey, they have breasts on the internet?
No, I've never seen a breast on the internet, sweetie.
He was like, what? Is that allowed? Is it for medicinal purposes? So,
are you just like checking women out though? Like that size, like do you ask, like, I'm sorry to ask, but like what size are you? What CC?
Well, no, I'm not that bold, but I'm just stalking people creepily on the internet. But it's more like I need to find somebody that's like because I'm like a big person, like I'm 5'10", I'm wide. So I can't look at somebody who's teeny tiny petite and say that that's going to look the same on me, because it's just not. So I'm trying to like figure all that out. Also, you lose the top and suddenly like the belly looks dramatically bigger than it did a hot second ago. And so I'm trying to I'm like, oh, I guess I should do a sit-up before my surgery. So we'll see if that happens.
You want them big enough so when you look down, there's like boobs before the stomach, right? I mean,
well, and then maybe toes too. Like all that would be ideal to look down and see, but
I was talking to somebody the other day about grooming, like shaving bits that I don't shave because I can't see them, and I like I can hardly reach them. So like I'm not going to shave them.
Yeah, no. I do all of that. It's my grooming is in the same line of my costuming. It's got to be comfortable. Easy, low maintenance, comfortable.
You're a Wonder Woman down there as well, I'm sure.
Thank you. Aww.
Well, this took a turn. As I knew it would. You, in your past life, you said, or your previous life, just a while ago, were a physician's assistant and you worked in healthcare. And does that experience, because you obviously come to this with a lot of gratitude, like you've mentioned already several times, which is beautiful. Like, I'm glad that my breasts are healthy. I'm glad the tissue is healthy. I'm glad there is no tumor. Like, do you have a greater sense of gratitude towards your body parts, despite all the shame of patriarchy, because you worked in healthcare?
I think so. I also, well, and I have really close friends who young have been dealing with breast cancer and gone through treatment and everything. So I'm very much keeping this in perspective that this is, even it's back pain, but it's very elective, and it's, you know, this could be a whole different terror kind of experience that it's not, you know. So yeah, and I'm very, after having worked in the hospitals for 15 years or something, and then doing surgery for like 12 of those, um uh less critical maybe about my body and other bodies, because it just, that the stuff that we focused on societally totally does not matter at all, you know.
Yeah.
And when someone's on a table, like, you can't, first of all, you know, it's true, like, you can't pick a body out of a lineup. We're all way more similar than we are different, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we see, I mean, it's a very vulnerable experience to go into surgery, but truthfully, we're all very similar, and they're just, you know, it's a job to be done, and and what you're focused on is the like minute task at hand, and you know.
It's so interesting. So when you're saying like when you open somebody up, we're very similar, that the shell, you know, the suit that we wear is just inconsequential to all the
Right,
others. And then
right.
beneath that, you know, just how alike we are and connected we are, just energetically and spiritually, where even the organs don't matter at that point, you know. Yeah, it's an interesting perspective. And I think it's this is going to seem like a left turn to anybody who's just listening who isn't in our experience, but do you feel like growing up with grief and loss, and I'll let you go into detail about that, also made you feel more uh gratitude for your health and wellness, or fight for it more, fight for your own health,
um
wellness, worth, everything?
I'm kind of fatalistic about, like, um I guess I look at, bodies are always deteriorating. We're all like, we're moving toward that end, right? We're all breaking down in some way. So I'm not as kind of shocked and appalled when something bad happens, because it's just one of the things that happens. There's gonna be good, and there's gonna be bad, and there's no like baseline of, I don't look at it as like baseline, normal, healthy, perfect, and then these deviants. I look at it just kind of as, you know, this is part of owning a body, you know, the ups and
Yeah.
downs and stuff. So you know, and I don't know, I mean, yeah, so I was like 6 or something when my sister was diagnosed with leukemia, and then she had it for the most of her life, and then ended up passing away. And so I was raised in a hospital setting, and it was, not only wasn't it a bad experience, as scary and sad and hard as stuff that was happening, but it was like fun. It was like the place to be. Everybody was so loving and fun and cool, and there was, you know, stuff to do, and it's where the people were who were going to fix her, you know.
Mm.
And so then I, myself and my other living sister, both went into the fixing people profession, you know.
Right. It's almost like, how could you not, that having that experience growing up, you spent a lot of time in the hospitals with her during treatments then?
Oh yeah. So I mean, I worked for, again, I worked in hospitals for like 15 years because it just felt comfortable. It was home to me. You know, some people can't go in a hospital because they think death, and they think they smell that sterile, weird smell. And they smell, you know, like, it just is like a unpleasant place. And to me, it's just so comfortable.
Mm.
You know, so going, so so this surgery that I'm having, this is my first surgery ever personally, right? I've done these surgeries as an assistant,
Wow.
but this is the first time I'm going with the knife. I'm having some nerves, as anybody does, because I've seen, you know, of the many, 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 many that I've done, very few have complications, but I've seen them, I've witnessed them, you know, so that's in my mind. But also, I just kind of, I don't know, again, I'm just sort of, whatever happens, we'll figure it out. And
Yeah, you have a trust in.
statistics are on my side. And yeah, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's worth the risk. And I don't know.
Mm. Hmm. Yeah, definitely. Well, and it sounds like you also want and have trust in your doctors or the team that you're going to choose to, or the hospital itself that you're going to choose to do this in. Yeah.
Plus, I just moved to California, and you have to have breast surgery within the first year of moving to California, or they kick you back out and you just find yourself across the border in Nevada.
Like, I'm picturing on the back of everybody's car, like, you know, the sticker down in DC, Baltimore, like everybody wrote where they went to graduate school and what Iron Man they ran, but like, like which surgeon you use for your breast, for your
just
breast.
like your environmental here, you know, you have to like your car checked out for fumes and stuff. And here it's, you know, what did you do to your breast so far? And what are you doing on your face next? Yeah. No, it's, I mean, I feel like I'm going to be in really good hands, and I'm just
Yes,
to have it over with. It's going to suck for a while, but like, you know, it's kind of like childbirth. Like it's going to suck for like what, 15 years, 20 years.
Yeah. Well, I always am intrigued. I've had several surgeries, hip surgeries and spinal surgeries, and oh my gosh, again, like probably 7 different major surgeries with
Oh my gosh.
general anesthesia. And they always say something like it's about a 6-week recovery, you know, definitely don't drive for the first 2 weeks. Don't pick things up. And while I think that's smart to follow some of those rules.
Yeah, wait. So my PA self is like, wait, if you didn't listen, did you have to have the same surgeries twice? Is it because you were a non-compliant patient? Okay, go ahead.
No, I wasn't compliant, but that's not why I had the surgeries good. My hip was recalled. That's just a whole nother story.
Oh,
that was weird. But after a surgery, they said, wait 6 weeks. I think don't drive for 2. And that night, as life happens, my toddler had his first asthma attack. We had to call 911. I couldn't hold him because I was like, oh, okay, I'm not allowed to lift anything. And then my husband rode in the ambulance. So I don't know, 2 hours after general anesthesia, followed the ambulance, and then walked into the hospital like, kind of, I was wondering if I was breaking the law. Probably was breaking a law. Like that's not probably illegal to drive under. But I was thinking about just how it's really hard to be put in restriction like that as a mom. It's almost impossible. Like after a C-section, after your C-section, by the way,
don't take care of your baby.
Don't take care of your baby, or don't hold them while you breastfeed. Got it. Interesting.
Every time I would so I worked in OB-GYN for a long time.
Oh, yes.
So I did a lot of robotic surgery, like hysterectomies and that kind of thing. And I also did obstetrics, helping with C-sections. And I would do discharge instructions to the new moms. I'd say, like, don't lift anything over whatever 10 pounds or whatever. Every single one of them would look over at that giant ass baby carrier that clips into the car, and their baby, who they know weighs like 8 pounds, and they're like, I mean, okay, wink, wink, you know.
Right. It's a.
I will say too that this is so, you know, this is again, this giant water that we all tread, air we all breathe, that women have to be available to serve everyone else and can't take time to take care of themselves, right? Until they get to a point of breakdown physically or mentally. Like that's just the pattern we keep seeing, right? So I did so many hysterectomies, so removal of uteruses, or mostly that, or removal of fibroids on uteruses, or removal of cysts on ovaries, or endometriosis surgery, that kind of stuff, where they had just let it go for so long that you get in there, you're inside, you know, and you cannot believe they can live like this. Yeah. It's pushing on the bowel, it's pushing on the bladder, it's got to be causing the back pain, it's got, like, their periods are wrecking them, their hemoglobin is dropping, they're so anemic, they're so miserable, everything hurts. How could they have functioned? And like, they weren't really functioning, not well, not as they should have been, but they just couldn't stop long enough to get it dealt with.
Because they were
they felt like everybody needed them. Yeah. And all their stories were like, well, then my mom got sick, and then my kid needed this, and then I couldn't. So it's either money, you know, because if you know, not everybody can afford it, especially if insurance isn't covering it, you know, or isn't available. And it's time, you know, that's unreasonable. I can't possibly take that kind of time out to heal, even though I'm perpetually sick because of this. Right. I'm never really healed, but I can't truly rest, because that's too much of a threat, you know?
Absolutely. I could see, I know I got caught up in that same pattern. I think my surgeries were from people pleasing, doing too much, teaching too many fitness classes. So then the surgery was from overuse. And then I didn't recover from the surgeries well, because I had to return to work and to parenting and to do all the things. And then, to your point, probably perpetuated the breakdown of my body. And then, as we do, we have to be like, not just on anesthesia with doctor's orders to not drive. We actually have to be like unable to move our bodies to not continue to care for people. It's really
So
hard.
some of it is very much internalized because we feel selfish if we take any time to ourselves. We feel like maybe life will move on without us if we're not there in the center of it as the apex, you know, that everybody needs us. We feel like our value all lies in being needed, all that stuff, you know. So that's internal and external, right? Because we were taught that and then we absorbed it, you know. But then also we need partners and kids and like family and people who will show up and say, you're on bed rest, you're allowed to be on bed rest, or you're in recovery, you go do your therapy, you have to do this, this is your focus right now. We got the rest of this stuff and we see what needs to be done and we will do it, you know.
Yes.
And that's a challenge. I mean, that's, you know, I
Mhm.
think a lot of these people, you know, it's interesting when I was talking to patients how they would word things differently whether their husband was in the room or not, you know. But oftentimes reading between the lines, they were saying, I knew I couldn't bow out of life because there's nobody to bow in.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so she's sitting there like literally bleeding to near death because she can't pause and get this thing dealt with, you know.
I think as we get older, thank goodness, we learn to lean on I call it sisterhood, but our friends, if we don't receive it as we as much as we need to, whether it's from our families or our kids if they're old enough to help. So yeah, leaning on our friends, but asking for help somewhere, whether it's finding a visiting nurse or a therapist, or asking for help is such a skill and a challenge, constant challenge, but so important.
We're you know, and I think we're unique in that. I mean, it used to be villages, you know, families. The culture was that you weren't expected to have a baby and then get it back up and do it. I mean, you had help. You had, you know, there was a sisterhood that just like filled in the gaps before you even saw them, you know. And I think that, you know, we have such nuclear, like distant families now, and we expect so much of just this tiny little family unit, that, you know, there's some loss in that. I don't know. It's pro and con, right? Because then you get to choose all the people that you're with instead of just, you know, if you've got like toxic family members, they're not just there as they would be in, you know, other cultures in history, but you know,
we have the privilege to move across country if we need to or want to.
Right.
Yes.
Now, not in my situation, granted, no, but yes, right.
Your husband and children are prepared to allow you to rest in a couple weeks, then hopefully.
They really, really are.
Good.
Yeah. Good. And that's been like a hard fought, and not just me saying I need this, but them saying you need this. You need to figure out the skill. Like my husband, he's adamant that I take the time to be writing this book, that I take the time to be having a surgery and the money and the loss of income and the like all of that stuff. He's a much bigger fan of me than I am, and that's huge, you know. I mean, that's a big deal. I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah.
And I've done it back to him, right? Like this is two-way, but I'm really feeling it and seeing it right now.
Yeah. And we could do an entire episode on how other people see us and how we need to look to other people, friends.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Colleagues, partners to mirror our radiance and then believe it.
Well, okay, here's an example. So I listened to your podcast a little bit recently. I was like, God, she's so smart and funny and she's so good at this. And like so many podcasts are so annoying and this one is not annoying. And I was like, I really want to be on it, but I can't just say that because that seems way too thirsty. So I'll just like write her a note that says, Pasha, you're doing awesome. This is such a great podcast. Congratulations. ... And I'll just wait and I'll hope that she'll ask me to join her. And I was thinking, like, she's too big of a deal and I've got nothing really important to talk about. And who even am I to be on a podcast? And then you were like, you want to be on my podcast? Are you sure? You know, because that's,
You literally said, am I important enough to fill the space of a podcast? I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? You're like this even like huge inspiration for me. So yeah, it was my thrill and honor, but that's a perfect example because the story you were telling yourself, to use a Brene Brown quote, is that you weren't whatever, fill in the blank enough. And then the story I was telling myself is that my podcast wasn't fill in the blank enough to hold space for you and your brilliance. Right. So yeah, we do this to ourselves, and It's vicious. We're so hard on ourselves and mean.
Right.
I'm
Well,
really
and that's like,
everybody else other
you
than
really
my
what?
husband. I'm really nice and supportive to everybody other than my husband. And
I can relate to that. Mine had a major bike accident years ago, and he like herniated just terribly. And I was basically like, everybody over 30 has back pain. Walk it off. What's wrong with you? And then he saw one of the spine surgeons that I work with who was like, oh God, this is really bad. And I was like, oh, I'm kind of a dick. Yeah. So
like
I'm
you
like
wouldn't
you.
talk
I'm
to a
nice to everybody else.
patient. You wouldn't
Oh no, are you kidding? Well, he's accused me of that. Like, I'm so empathetic and so kind to patients and
Yes.
colleagues and stuff at work, and then I come home and I'm just,
Yes.
I got nothing left. I'm tapped out.
I try to tell him that it's like, it's because I feel so safe and unconditionally loved that I
Just
can't
like kids, like toddlers are assholes to their parents because they feel so safe. Just like that.
so I can't use my yoga and coaching voice with you.
Does that work? No.
He's like, every once in a while, can you? So we're working. So my goal, we give ourselves intentions, and my goal is to come at our conversations this month with more generosity. Like, rather than like, really, are we gonna have this conversation again? You haven't learned this yet? Like, you haven't learned about gender identity yet? I'm gonna come with it with generosity, and just like, this is best efforts, this is best intent, Yeah.
And he's gonna be like, so someone dropped me cold into this gender identity lecture and I had no idea. And I thought it was about fishing. And then I asked some really weird questions. No, I think that's nice. Cause like, I my favorite people are salty, but there's got to be some sweetness, right? Like, it's got to be the popcorn and the M&Ms, or they're going to stop reaching for a handful, like, it's got to be both. That's why I don't always have a sweet, but I always have a humor. So I'm like, does that count? Is that close enough? Can it be salty and funny?
Yeah, you're lightening it up a little bit. It's not all, hard.
Right.
I bring none of my humor into the house. That's the other thing I need to work on. So
really?
None. No.
Huh.
No, because it's not funny. As soon as I walk through the doors, nothing's funny. I'm like, this is not funny. So I'm working on it. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Does he, well, okay, this is important to me. Does he like your sense of humor when he witnesses it?
I don't think he's ever witnessed it, or I don't think he knows it.
No. Okay, because that's would you say that's a major part of you?
Yes, it is now, for sure. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you're reserving, for some reason, whether you don't feel safe.
That's what it is. Yeah. That's what I said to him. I said, I don't feel safe enough I'm more vulnerable laughing than I am crying. I feel like it's more vulnerable to relax enough to show my sense of humor than it is to cry about my past traumas. For me, that's just my experience.
Yeah. And you're afraid of letting him witness your pleasure.
I think there's a safety issue, and I think there's just anger there. We have some trust issues that we're working through from past infidelities, which is no surprise to any of my listeners. And so I feel like I'm like bitter and I'm angry, and I'm like, you don't deserve my pleasure, and I don't feel safe enough to share with my pleasure with you. And it's not good. We're definitely working on it, and it's very messy indeed.
Generosity, though, I would say probably the most generous thing I give people is my sense of humor. So if you're trying to be generous this week, consider that one of the things.
Okay. I will. That would feel very generous and gifty of me. Mm-hmm. Yes.
You don't want to, because you're thinking he doesn't deserve any of this. I get that.
Yeah. And that's such a terrible cycle to be in, because then if I, like, a year from now say, and I'm lonely and I don't feel belonging, it's like, if I don't share my whole self, how will we possibly meet, in the middle anywhere? So he's working on being more vulnerable and sharing his feelings more, and I'm working on being vulnerable and trusting him with my feelings more. It's it's like all the marriages out there, where we feel I don't know, everything.
I also if I were you, this is maybe unhelpful to the nth degree, but I would feel like just staying and not kicking his ass out the door is already pretty generous considering everything that's happened.
Thank you. Yes.
So since you've made that decision, and I'm assuming he's made his, what's the word? Not comeuppance, but
mistakes.
No, like his
Oh, yeah, folks.
accountability, like his
Oh, like owned up to it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that that's happened.
Yes,
So
it's been
then
apologies.
it's
Mhm.
very, very loving of you to offer further generosity.
Much.
Make that one of your goals.
Yes. All of it for years. Yes.
Anyway, no, but really the humor thing, like I feel like humor is what connects people. It's language that we kind of all speak and understand, and it feels like little gifts you can hand out to people, you
Yeah,
know.
absolutely. Yes. And I mean, I believe in it, and I obviously created my work around it. It's just so fascinating how some people in our lives, and for some people it's their mother or their parent or their partner or whatever it is, that they just have that, like, there's so much, drama still there, and messiness, and anger and resentment, and that it's just yuck. So it's hard to work through. It's like our
Yeah.
life's work to repair old wounds and old traumas. And I go back and I try to repair, my womb traumas or my mother traumas and all of it. So I'm constantly working on it. I just find it so fascinating that I work on it and I talk about it all the time, and I still am not like healed. So we have to keep talking about it,
Yeah, but if you like if you were facing yourself right now, if you're having a conversation with yourself, would you say like we should be good by now? Or
Well,
would you say no,
no,
it's a perpetual thing and you actually have healed a lot?
yes, I would say good job for healing as much as you have. Look at what you've accomplished and moved through, for yourself, and that these are hard things to work through, and that they're not going to just go away. And good for you for persisting. Yes, I would say all the things that you're
I know.
thinking
See,
when you look
and
at
this is the thing, right? When you're like inside our own heads, everybody thinks that we ourselves are schmucks, and that whatever we've accomplished is easy because we could do it. So, and
that.
whatever we're up against can't be that hard. But why can't I just do it? And shouldn't I be beyond this by now? And like, I mean, everybody, if you really like are able to hack into someone's brain, everybody's like doing that in their own way,
Yes. Every single, whenever I start a Roar with Laughter cohort, somebody says, like, I don't know if I fit in because my trauma isn't as bad as everybody's trauma, or I don't even know if I have trauma, or I don't really have anything to work
Right.
through.
Right.
And they'll say I'm not funny or whatever, like the limiting beliefs. But yeah, the shaming and the self-loathing and the unworthiness, and the not claiming the impact of the traumas, whatever you want to call them. I don't love to use like the little t big T, because I think they're all just like cumulative.
Pain. Yeah, it's just pain. Right.
Right. So yeah, I think it's interesting to watch me or witness me holding space for other people's more empathetically than my own. That's what we do.
It is what we do. Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I think that's, again, something you're working on.
It is. Thank you for this therapy session, Sarah. This has been enlightening for
This
real.
You're going to edit out all of this.
I've worked through a lot of stuff today. Thank you. I feel very
Oh my God, I'm sorry. So I was a social worker, and then I was a PA, and now I'm a writer, and it's all just, I just find humans so fascinating, and trying to like find the lock and the key and get the things out, and that's just, I can't help it. I can't stop myself.
You did great. I can't imagine us not going to these places, so I'm thrilled. And it's been so fascinating to get to know you on a more personal level, and I'm so excited for you. I'm like, I can't wait to see your boobs.
Okay, so they are stupid big right now, and they're gonna be, you'd ask what size I'm going to. I'm gonna go to like just like, to be on my frame, I'm thinking like a high C, low D. Do you think that would work?
Yeah, I think you'll look fantastic. And I wish there were a lot of like still really pretty comfortable lingerie clothes for your size to be in. I'm saying it at that size that I am now. It sucks.
Like, it sucks. Are you still? Yeah, it sucks. So I have a sports bra that, I'm not joking, has 16 clasps. Like, it was designed by NASA. This thing, you remember the over the shoulder boulder holder, the song from Beaches, like that. I mean, this is like, it's,
yes,
they're impossible to live with.
but it's going to take a physical load off. Do you feel like also there's going to be energetic load off, emotional load off? Do you think that a lot is going to be released in that?
I do. I mean, I've written about it some, but like my boobs are the first thing people see, and they tell a story about me that I am not comfortable telling. I didn't want to tell. I don't want you to read. You know, like it's like I don't have any control over that. And people have such an impression of what a woman with big boobs is like, or wants, or is offering, or and I just like so the whole social. And again, this is something I wish I didn't have to think about. I wish I was more evolved and didn't have to worry about it, and didn't give a shit, but I do, you know. Yeah, it'd be nice to be able to just like wear normal clothes, not having to always be mindful of that consideration, if it's going to be pornographic, if it, you know, if it's going to be revealing too much, if it won't close in the middle, if it'll like come up in the front because there's a giant shelf. I mean, like all that stuff. It's just going to take a lot of that psychological pressure off, and then the constant back pain and headaches and neck pain and shoulder pain.
Of it. I'm so happy for you. I hope you find great relief. I hope the relief is fast, and I hope you don't drive that night. You can just rest.
So I will be, so I'm going to be writing about it as it goes. I will
good.
I'm going to be sharing with my subscribers on my page like what led up to this and what the whole process has been like. And then afterwards, I don't know if I'll do it on anesthesia and coding and stuff. We'll see. That might be fun. But I'll be writing about kind of what the process of healing is like too. And
yeah, because you have an in the field, they let you like document it, or like I was a physician's assistant. I'm allowed to be in the hospital with a video camera or something.
Oh God, no. I just mean like, no, I don't want. That's the like. I have no desire to watch my surgery. Like if they offered to take a video of it or something, like no, I couldn't. There's something about. I mean, I've seen them. It's already like makes me a little squeamish to picture what they're going to be doing, that it's happening to my body. You know, like that's there's definitely like a little bit of a, I don't know, hesitation there.
Yeah.
No, I just mean I'll write about it later, like what my experience was like.
Yeah, good. Well, I look forward to following that. And I think as we continue to talk about boobs, there'll be more boob episodes to come, because I think we all have stories about our boobs. And I think that this is in good service to women out there. So more boob talk to come. Yay. And yay. Thank you,
This is just a boob hour now.
I probably would get more podcast listeners if I called it the boob hour.
But again, I'm not sure that you can put boobs as a topic on the internet. I think it's discouraged. So.
Yeah, right. I would get banned before it even started. Yeah. Right. All right. I'll have to
don't put any nipples.
I'll have to code it somehow. Yeah. I know, now I want to go on and talk about things like Britney Spears and things. I have so much I want to talk to you about. Yes, my mind is like going in several different directions, but I know that my listeners are like, you have to cut it off sooner or later, Pasha, so that we can go do what we have to do. So I will talk to you again soon. I hope, Sarah. We'll do part 2 post surgery.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
It'd be fun. See, and you thought you wouldn't fill a podcast. Now you're filling so much, you're overflowing beyond one episode.
It's just that like it's the like important identity. Like I've never been to space. I'm not the CEO of a thing. I'm not, you know what I mean? It's that. It's the like, what do I put on the little wooden placard in the front of the desk I don't own? You know, like that.
I do know. I know. I ended up calling myself CEO just because I wanted to put it on the thing. I'm like, I'm the CEO of my company, sure. And I've heard women say they're the CEO of their family, which I don't love, because it just implies all the things that we're trying to, avoid in terms of the toll.
Oh my God! If I was the CEO of our family, my family's in such chaos at all times. This company would be like going down. Our stocks would be plummeting. I mean, I would have been fired a long time ago. And honestly, like, especially if there's a severance, I would take it most days.
Oh my goodness. Well, let's talk soon, Sarah. Thank you so much. How can people reach you if they want to read your blog, if they want to go to your website and read the boob story or any of your other fantastically funny, witty stories?
They're not all about boobs. They're just mostly about boobs. SarahZWriter.com. So SarahZ, the letter Z, writer.com. And that's Sarah Z Writer on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and
you're TikToking now.
Oh my God. But I forget about it for like a week at a time. And I also don't know how to do it. So I literally, before I was Googling how to do the TikTok right before I came on with you, because I don't understand how people get like sound bites and they get like spliced screens. And I don't get the logistics of it at all. And I want to do it cool. And I don't have the ability yet. So
yeah, I want to do that cool thing too. I don't even know how to share an Instagram post. I don't even know. I don't like, yeah, all of it is very bizarre to me still. I'm so grateful that the middle-aged woman is mostly in my world on Facebook because I figured that out finally. So I'm like, oh, good. I'm good.
yeah.
And every once in a while I'll try to post, and sometimes I go on TikTok. TikTok makes me feel really like that sense of belonging because it's like people put their mess out there far more than they do on Instagram. So there's this,
Yeah.
yeah, and I follow a lot of parents of chronically ill children and
Yeah.
courageous, resilient stories, and it's yeah, it's very heartfelt.
It's a good format for that. And I wonder how the culture, because each social media platform seems to have its own culture.
Yeah.
And I wonder how TikTok became that way. I don't know if it's like, I don't know why it is allowed to be so vulnerable. And it's short sound bites, which is good too, I think, because people can't just go on forever. They have to get their point across, but
right.
It really works.
As a writer, that probably appeals to you too, the being concise with it, right? Yeah, not going on.
Grammarly would tell you that most of my sentences are run-on sentences, but Grammarly's kind of a dick, so we're not speaking right
now. Break up. All right. Sarah, thank you. And I'll post all the stuff in the show notes. So if you're listening to this or watching on YouTube, you can find all the notes and all the things and where to find Sarah. I adore you and your work. I love reading. I love reading everything.
Did you tell the people that I took your roar class though also, and I loved it, and it was totally fun and absolutely empowering and cool, and I met some amazing people that are still my friends, and seriously such a cool experience.
Thank you.
Everyone should do it. Are you still doing it? I hope you're
I am definitely doing it. I'm in season 8, and it's awesome. Like each season just transforms different. It's super fun. Yes, I often forget to self-promote that way. And my favorite part is that people are still like friends, that you found a network of friends you're still talking to. That just lights me up. So happy to hear that. Yeah, fantastic community of really supportive, loving women. So thank you.
Thank you for being the leader of that.
You are welcome. Thank you, Sarah. And anybody out there who wants to learn about my work, whether it's one-on-one coaching or Roar with Laughter coaching, I'd be, of course, happy to talk to you. And there just happens to be a link in the notes for a free liberation call, a Calendly link. So yeah, tell me your stories and let's talk and laugh and cry and see whether or not I can help. And if you love this podcast and you would be ever so kind to subscribe, share, do all the things. It really, really helps. It helps like light us up and be like, yay, people are listening. And it's also keeps us going so that new listeners come in, and then we can get even, different, diverse, expansive guests on. And
she means more important CEO types. Okay, so your liberation calls.
Okay, so go ask her. But I did just say in the last podcast, I'm like, and I didn't mean to say it. I said, so we can get better guests. I'm like, I didn't mean better guests. I literally mean like more diverse guests from places beyond like my friends circle. Like that's what I meant.
Yeah, no, it's a good goal.
So what about the liberation?
It's just funny that we are just talking about how insecure, and then you're like, and maybe we can get higher quality.
Could you please like my podcast? Sarah's really my sister, and I really need to move outside of my family.
I totally get that feeling. It feels like right now, so I'm taking subscribers on my website, and right now it's like it's my family and my immediate really close friends, and it feels like a lemonade stand or something,
exactly. And until you get 100,
so like sweet, but
it's super sweet, and like you have to start somewhere. But when I with the YouTube channel, I can't even call it like YouTube /Pasha Marlowe until I get 100 followers. And I think I'm like at 70. I'm like, come on. I like look every day, 71. And then I do another big podcast and I think I'm gonna get 172. It's really like. So what was your question about the liberation call?
it's way too late. The joke has passed, but it was going to be about pantslessness. So just fill in the joke in your head in a better version than that.
Pantslessness.
Liberation, I think.
Got it. Got it. Okay.
That's all.
You're
Please
like, the
edit
timing,
this part out.
the timing doesn't work anymore. The callback.
I'm always telling my kids, I'm like, it's so much funnier when you have to explain your jokes because they're 7 and 10 and their jokes don't make any sense. And then I'm like, so they have to walk me through it. And I'm like, oh guys, God, I just can't wait till they fully understand humor. You know,
yes. They're going to be so impressed with you when they do. They're like, my mom's funny.
Oh, I hope you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
They will. Well, they won't tell you until they're like 25, just so you know. They'll tell you you're an idiot and lock the door and roll their eyes.
Yeah, because they roll their eyes a lot already now. Like I'm fearful for their eyeballs getting ejected from their sockets. There's a lot of eye rolling. All right. Well, thank you, darling.
Thank you. Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.